Hello friends, yesterday we learned the different days novels, just like in the history of novel. And in that history of novel, in the last period, we have learned the elements of the novels. And in that elements, there are the different types of the elements, the plot, theme, setting, characters, even the style, language style. These are the different kinds of elements we have learned. Now today, we are going to see the types of novel, different types of novel, and now these what are the different types of novel? The first is the realistic novel. Now see that realistic novel. Second, picaresque novel. Now see that the picaresque novel. Then third, historical novel. Fourth, episcopal novel. Fifth, Gothic novel. Six, autobiographical novel. Seven, allegorical novel. Eight, utopian or dystopian novel. Then psychological novel. Then stream of consciousness novel. And last is Bildungsroman novel. Now see that these are the 11 types of novels, and these novels they have expressed their different views. And now see that the actual about these actual passage in the types of novel. The first is realistic novel. The realistic novel is a fiction that gives the effect of realism. Now, in this novel, the realistic novel is give the realism of that novel, the realities, the facts, whatever in that novel. Sometimes that is also called a novel of manners, and these novels are also called as the manner of novels. It can be characterized by this complex character with mixed motives that are routine in the social class. The characters in the realistic novel interact with other characters and undergo plausible and everyday experiences. Outside, all these characters, there is a theme it has related in that kinds of the social class. In that class, whatever the things that happen, it explained in the realistic novels. In the real picture of that class, the real picture of that society has been described in the realism novels. Now, so that in realism means there is a such realities, such kinds of realism it explained in it. Then second, picaresque novel. The word picaresque originated from the Spanish word picaro, which means a rope. Now, right. The word of picaresque novel, the word picaresque comes from the picaro, Spanish word picaro, and picaro means a rope. A picaresque novel narrates the adventure of the protagonist, who is the eccentric or a disrespectable person in an episodic form. And now in that picaresque novel, the protagonist, now you see that protagonist means the main character. The main character, it explains that kinds of shows even the adventurers of that protagonist. Means whatever the right thing that explained in that protagonist, it explained in the picaresque novels, and which is that kinds of eccentric, with eccentric means is the strange characters that explained in it. Then third, historical novel. A historical novel set in a period earlier than that of the writings. In a historical novel, history is the history, whatever happened in the past, they all the past things that explained in the historic novels. Then the next novel is the episcopal novel. Epistolary novel means the word epistolary derives from the Latin word epistola, which means letter. Now, this word comes from Latin epistolas. The word comes from the Latin word. Its meaning is that epistolary means the letters. The epistolary novel is that in which the writer presents the narrative through the series of correspondence or other documents. And through that Picaresque novel, the novelist or the narrative, it can explain the writer present the narrative thing what happened in the form of that period, which explain through that documents, just like the letters, even the series of correspondence. Although letters are the most common basis for epistolary novel, diary entries are also the popular form in this type. And even the diary, the such letters, documents, corresponding forms, these are included in the epistolary novel. The next is Gothic novel. The novels that includes terror, mystery, horror, killers, supernatural, doom, death or decay or haunted buildings are called Gothic novels. Now that in the Gothic novels it comes as the horror. There is such kinds of frightening things, even the supernatural things. That kinds of again mystery, thriller, doom, death, decay, all these things that bound in the Gothic novel, it's called as the such novels which may be come to this novel. Then autobiographical novels. Now see that biography means the person who write other such history from birth to death. Auto means self. Autobiography means self histories, self things that happen in that person's life. The autobiographical novel is a novel based on the life of the author. We see that is the all these things based on the life of that author. In the self histories, self things that explain through that autobiographical novel. However, the author changes the places and names the characters or even may change or avoid certain details of his life. It may or may not be in the first person narratives. Now, it may be the autobiographical novel. Sometimes the writer also gives example of other characters. He has not written in the first person. He also narrates in the third person also. Sometimes there are also given the some details means not given the details of his life, but the author's life's detail also added in that forms. And for that times, he has written the self history, the self things, or the life of that person. Next is the allegorical novel. Now, so that allegoricals mean the myth, mean the ancient stories. An allegory is a story that bears more than one level of meaning. The surface meaning of such novel is different from the symbolic meaning of it. The symbolic meaning of an allegory may be political, religious, historical, or philosophical. Also, that it is the such kinds of allegorical novel, and this novel it is the given the symbolic meaning. And this symbolic meaning is the such kinds of the allegory may be the political, even the religious, historical, or philosophical. This thing that explains to this allegorical knowledge. Then the next is utopian or dystopian novel. And also that the meaning of that. Utopia is an imaginary community or society possessing the ideal qualities. It is a common literary theme, especially in the science fiction or speculative fictions. Now, this is the utopian imaginary community. in the imaginary community of the society. And in that society, what is the ideal quality of that society that explained in this utopian novels. Means such kinds of class or the such kinds of society that has been explained in these kinds of novels. The next is psychological novel. Now see that psychological novel is the work of fiction that treats the internal life of the protagonist or even the other characters as much as the external factors. Now, the protagonist in a psychological novel, the protagonist that explain his whole internal as well as external life. Whatever happened in his psychology is the internal as well as external that has been explained through this psychological novel. Then next is the stream of consciousness novel. Stream of consciousness novel is a phrase coined by William James in his treatise Principle of Psychology, 1890. It means the flow of the thoughts, incidents in the plot or in the sequence of their occurrence. The novelist narrates them as they enter the mind of the characters. Now, stream of consciousness means the such incidents or its flow, the thoughts, whatever the thoughts that came in his mind, that is explained through that story. Even though the incident, the plot, the sequences, or the thing, that even in a stream of consciousness, in the mind of that characters. And last is Bildungsroman novel. Now, Bildungsroman, this is the German word. Bildungsroman indicate growth. Now, its meaning is that growth, even growth is increase. It increase that kinds of things indicate growth. The fictional biography or autobiography is concerned with the growth of protagonist mind, spirit, and characters from their childhood to adulthood. Now, in a Roman novel, the protagonist means the main characters, and in that main characters, there is the such kinds of biography, autobiography, that kinds of growth in his mind, even the characters from their childhood to adult. Means all the history of that character is explained in the Bildungsroman novel. Means from his birth to adulthood, all the same that he knows. Now see, this is about the such kinds of types of the novel. Different types of novel. In the first of 20th century, a pulp magazine became popular in which fantastic fiction for the general entertainment of the masses was printed on the cheap pulp paper. The pulp fiction era provided building ground for the detective novels and science fiction. Now that in the 20th century, the pulp of that kinds of these novel in the fantastic fictions that kinds of explain the minds or the masses of the people, all the things that include in it. Science fiction is a genre of speculative fiction dealing with imaginative concepts such as futuristic science and technology, space travel, time travel, parallel universe, and extraterrestrial life. Science fiction often explore the potential consequence of scientific and other notice. Franklin's by Mary Shelley is considered the first novel based on science and technology. The genre flourished in the second half of the 19th century. In the science fiction, in that kinds of science fiction, there are the different kinds of space travel, time travel, all these things, the scientific things, these new inventions that took place. And through that new inventions, almost of the things that happen in the world, and that things explained in the science fictions. Detective fiction is a subgenre of crime fiction and mystery fiction in which an investigator or a detective, either professional or amateur investigation or a crime of a murder. And then afterwards, the detective fiction is also some under this. In the detective fiction, there are the different kinds of crime, the murder cases, the agitators, all these things that include in the detective fiction. And to that detective fiction, all the crimes, even the criminals, they have been found in that village. This is about the suspense of the first novel in the history of novels and all these things that include in it. Now this is about the novel, the first novel. Now see that there are these activities are there in the brainstormings. I'll give some hint to you how to find this answer, and whatever we have learned, all these things that include there. Match the columns A and B. Now see that there is in the column A, Murasake Shikobor, B. Novella, say Don Quixote, third Raj Mohan's wife. In a B, there is a Cervantes, Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, Tale of Genji, and New. Now find that there are these other kinds of these words. The Murasake Shikobos is the tale of Genji. Novella means the new. Don Quixote Cervantes and Raj Mohan's wife means the Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay. Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, these are the such kinds of their match the words. Now we have already learned and we have to find these kinds of. Then next I will pick out the odd elements from the group. Odd means the different elements from that group. Now see there, Arun Joshi, Vikram Seth, Grameen Green, and Kiran Nagarkar. Now odd is elements in there. Odd Raymond Green because Raymond is the English novelist and others. Arun Joshi, Vikram Seth, Kiran Nagarkar, these are the Indian novelists. Next is place, spread, theme, climate, lifestyle. Now see that these are the some others are the means style, theme is the different because it's the other elements of that parts and even that kinds of thing is also included there. Means different odd element is theme because theme is the or the other parts of that setting. Then theme, plot, character, novella. Now all these are the elements of the novel, and novella means the new is the novel. These are the certain words you have to find out. Then complete the following statements. These things we have to find from our book. Two types of conflicts that the plot may have are. Now the conflicts are two types. One internal and second external. The word picaresque. Now see what this kinds of the types of model. The word picaresque is originated from Spanish word picaro. You have to find in the book. The EP story novel presents the narrative through a series of letters, diary, correspondence of the documents. These are the things. Next, in the 18th centuries, middle class could get the time for reading and discussing the novels because the machines that helped them, that made the industrial revolution took place, and the machines age come in that times and they help the people and they spread sometimes and even in that empty time the people they read the different kinds of novels. And the next is the write the short novel, the style of novel, stream of conscious novel, novella, then Indian tradition of novels, which you have to write the such kinds of these short notes. And while writing the short notes, you take the help of our book, our such kinds of passages. This is about the history of the novel. This part that we end here. Now we'll stop here.